So we are back, and allow me to tell you why we took a break. Because we have to take breaks. Like that's how things go in life. You take a break, and if we were on the air, we would have taken a break and readjusted and allowed you to do the same. So hopefully, you all know that that's how things work, and you don't have these unrealistic expectations for myself or for a mayoral candidate. Like you all expect things that may not be reasonable. Inbox people. All right. So mayoral candidate Randall Woodfin is chilling with us tonight, being vital. So we appreciate you for taking this time. Randall has already said that tonight we can talk as long as you all ask questions.
As long as you want.
He said that I'm going to cut this thing off at some point for a couple of reasons. It's a holiday weekend, so we're going to get out and enjoy the city. And then we're going to be prepared to sleep all day tomorrow, so we're not going to go all night. Okay. So back to the core questions. And let our producer know by liking this video right now if our volumes are good. If the volumes are too low, give us a sad. No, give us a wow face. Okay, so if you don't give us a sad face or an angry face. But yeah, let us know what the volume is like. So, morals and values play a major part in service and leadership. Alignment, positive energy, spiritual guidance, communicating with and being led by a power higher than yourself are important to most people. What are your thoughts on how this plays a part in Southern politics, and especially in the city of Birmingham?
And so I think it plays a big role. I will say, I grew up in the church. My father and stepmom are active today, super active in the church. Mm-hmm. My Reverend John T. Porter baptized me. Mm-hmm. Reverend Canelo is my pastor now, 6th Avenue Baptist. But I got my first leadership experience in the church at 15. I led the first in-step ministry. This was 21 years ago.
We know about in-step.
21 years ago. Uh-huh. All right, I was 15. That's that same year I got my first job. What I can say is this. It's real easy for a person to say they want to represent people to get compromised. Mm-hmm. You know one of the best ways not to get compromised?
What's that?
Is to stay grounded, not only in your religious practice, but in spirituality. Like, spirituality is important. And from that standpoint, for me, anybody who lives in the city of Birmingham is God's people. I'm telling you, people are hurting in the city. So for me, the fight, what I'm fighting for people is bigger than me. I think the mayor's office is a vehicle, but it's something way higher. And so for me, I'm very grounded. I think one of the biggest questions I get is what church you go to. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a subtle way of saying how grounded are you.
Yeah.
Right?
Because if you say you don't go, then it's like, so what you be doing on Sunday?
Fall back, right? No vote, not voting for you. But no, it's a big deal, and you don't have to wear church on your sleeve. Mm-hmm. You don't have to wear God on your sleeve, but you do have to have Him here. You do have to go to that safe space to meditate, to pray, to have this lock in with the higher being that says, what's the direction you're leading me? Because I'm trying to lead a city. And in that space, I don't know, man. I think energy is important. You said a lot of words in that question.
Mm-hmm. Energy, transparency.
Well, I'm a pretty positive person. Very positive, actually. I know how campaigns can be. I know governing can be worse. I've been on all sides of this.
Okay.
I've been in the campaign world working for candidates for 10 years.
So you knew what you were getting into?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, well, let me try it and see.
No. I've had to tell my family, listen, now that we put ourselves in this position for the next 6 weeks that are now down to 30 days, strap in, brace for impact, that a lot of people will come at us with negative energy. Mm-hmm. Not because they know me, not because it's the truth. They'll make it up. They'll do anything to knock you off what you're trying to do. It's real easy to be sensitive to that, but the reason I'm not sensitive to it is because I'm committed to wanting to help people. So the reason I'm in this is just, it's bigger. It's bigger than self. There are a lot of people who want to be lawyers and don't really give a damn about helping or representing or fighting for their client. Mm. There are a lot of people who want to be medical doctors and only care about being called doctor instead of fighting for helping their patient. Well, it's the same way in elected space. There are a lot of people who are in elected position and they don't give a damn about helping the people they say they want to represent. And for me, whether I'm a lawyer, whether I'm a school board member, or the next mayor of Birmingham, it is about elevating people to fight on their behalf.
So, because we're talking about spirituality and alignment, do you feel like you're answering a calling?
I think my calling is to help people.
Mm-hmm.
If it falls in the space of being a lawyer or being an elected official, then I'll take that.
Does government taint that? Does it taint just helping people? Like when you just generally want to help people?
No. You got a half a $1 billion budget combined, your general fund and your capital dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, you are in a very, what's the word you used earlier? Politics, people, power. You're in a powerful position to help people.
Mm-hmm.
It can't taint it if you know what you can do on behalf of people, right? That if you're taking the time to listen to people's complaints, then you're in a position to help those people. And so being a mayor is not, it goes beyond the ceremonial things. It goes beyond shaking hands. It goes beyond either getting a plaque or receiving a plaque. They're okay. Have you saved somebody's life? Have you reduced crime? Have you reduced poverty?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, have you paved the streets? Right? I know that sounds silly, but if that's
one of the job descriptions, like a lot of people don't know what the job is about. That's why that was one of the earlier questions. Like, do you really understand the role and responsibilities? So for those of you, like I've been posting questions just throughout, general questions, and one of them was, is spirituality important when looking at a representative? A lot of people that aren't spiritual or don't have any idea about any of that.
It's easy for them to get compromised.
No.
It's easy for them to get compromised.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for them to get caught up in what's in it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I meet a lot of people every day. What's in it for me? They're not. Let's put this into context. If a mayor does not address crime, don't expect people to want to stay here or move here.
Mm-hmm.
All right? If a mayor doesn't address blight, don't expect people to want to move here and live here because their property value is not protected.
Okay.
If a mayor doesn't use the bullying pulpit in the office of the mayor to champion education, even if they're not in charge of the school system, don't expect families to keep their children in our school system K through 12. These are real issues. These are big issues.
Let's talk about those issues. Let's talk about them in a as we do anyway, in a honest way, in an honest, open way.
Right.
When you talk about addressing crime, we all have been affected by crime in this city directly. Everybody knows somebody has had some connection to how painful this is for us as individuals and then as a city. There have been initiatives introduced in this city that people, that grassroots organizations, nonprofits, and government have tried to get in and work with. What do you think, as a mayoral candidate, is happening that is not connecting? It's something that can't be connecting if we're continuing to have the numbers that we're having.
So you can't say the current administration likes to tout violence reduction initiative. You can't have a violence reduction initiative if you don't have a poverty reduction initiative.
So violence and poverty go hand in hand, is what you're saying.
You can't have a poverty reduction initiative if you don't have a job growth plan to put people to work. And you can't have a job growth plan if the mayor's office doesn't champion education. All these things meet at an intersection of what are we doing to address poverty, unemployment, education, crime. They all go together.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, well, what's the mayor's office? What can the mayor do in a lot of these spaces? I think you start with our current and existing assets. I think if a lot of our areas where we got young boys who are tempted to do things that don't work for them or put them in a situation where they're compromised, or they don't feel safe, can our library system and our rec centers be used as safe havens? But at the exact same time, can they be used as enrichment zones for educational opportunities when school is not in, from 3:01 p.m. to 7:59 a.m., or on the weekend or during the summer, those 10 weeks, right? That's one. Two, some of that rec space, can we repurpose some of that space for workforce training, right? If we don't start talking about workforce training and employment opportunities and being more aggressive from the mayor's office about industry and job recruitment, why would we have any expectation that people, when they leave college, want to come back home to work, or people who are already here want to stay here to work, or people who are out there in the streets have an opportunity to work? So we have to be about jobs, jobs, jobs.
And with those jobs, you think that crime would reduce?
Yeah, absolutely. I think employment opportunity allows a person to actually feel good about taking care of their family or themselves.
That leads me to have to ask this question though. Can a mayor really change the culture of a people?
I think a mayor can lead in changing that culture.
And so you know that these issues that we're addressing are part of the culture, or do you think that these things were created and we just kind of adopted them as our culture and we just made it through? What do you think?
I think chicken and egg. Which one's first, right? Honestly. I think there's not enough hope out there.
So you're a hope man?
Yeah, I'm a belief man too. Let me tell you what I believe. I believe that people see a mayor fighting for them, being a champion for youth issues, being a champion for things that really work for people. People get on board. All right? If I've said it and I'll keep saying it. If I want young boys to put down guns out of their hand, I got to put a job in their hand. I got to replace that with a job. If I want them to care about school, I may want to understand what their passion and dreams are about. Who's taking that time, right? Right? We want to go speak to children instead of go listen to them.
So you're really big on listening.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way to move a situation. Come on.
Any situation.
In our personal relationships, what do we want the most from our partner?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
We want them to listen to us. We want them to understand us. In order to understand somebody, you have to listen.
Okay. One more question from me, because I know everybody's like, I haven't asked it. So you got that time. It's coming like in just a few minutes. The next question from me, transparency, community involvement. Now, when people hear that, they have their own perception of what that means. So I put in parentheses here. Where you're involved in the community and where the community is involved in City Hall. That's community involvement. That's my definition. Budget, supporters, your crew, your personal life, your experience, even your address, and all things that are vital pieces to the people and to the politics. Wait a minute. Even if you don't think so. Okay, so all of those things that I said, even if you don't think so. Is there anything or anybody that will keep you from doing the best things, doing the most ethical things, representing the people how they want to be represented, and staying true to your campaign promises?
No. So I want to make this clear to everybody that's listening to this. I'm never going to jail. The truth is, there are a lot of issues that we face in this community. I think it's important to always be honest with people. Even if you disagree with me, you will always get honesty from me. I tell people all the time, I've told you this before, you can strap a lie detector test to my right arm. You can place my hand on the Bible. You can have my mother stand right here, who I would never lie in front of. Sometimes people believe what they want to believe just because they don't believe in you. And so they make up stuff. But you're going to always get honesty from me. As a lawyer, consider this. I've taken the oath. My current client is the city of Birmingham. So what I'm doing, wanting to be mayor, is no different than what I've been doing since 2009, which is my oath is to fight for my client, the city of Birmingham, that is made up of residents in this city. That's made up of 4,500 employees that are the front line of providing services on behalf of the city. No, I'm not going to compromise my integrity. One, my mother's still alive, so I would be extremely embarrassed that if I did anything to cause
You cannot get nobody stirred up with their mama.
Hey, man, I'm just saying. I think the second thing is, I think transparency is easy. We don't have to make it hard, and here's why. It's not my money. All right? Just let's think about that for a second. These are public tax dollars. So if a person wants to know, hey, how my tax dollars are being spent, whether it's online, city's website, whether they made a request and I can print it out to them or email it to them, it shouldn't take an act of Congress or having to sue at the courthouse for the current administration to release information that should already be public and made available. Be overly transparent, over communicate. Give the council everything they want. Don't hide it from them. Don't hide it from the residents. Attend public meetings. Have information settings. Have town hall meetings. Listen to people's concerns. But over communicate. City Hall is an open space for anybody that deals with, interacts with the city of Birmingham. That's a small business owner and the residents. Right?
So it's not hard to just keep it open.
Nope. Because if you don't want to be above people and only want to serve them, makes it easy.
I have two more things.
Yeah.
When you talk about the next election being 4 years from now, say for instance that you do not get it this time, what do you do in those 4 years in between?
I think I do what I've been doing for the last 14. I've been committed to the city of Birmingham intentionally. There are a lot of people who I went to school with. I mean, these cats are smart. They went off to Capitol Hill, Wall Street. They got into somebody's program, whether it's a PhD, took the LSAT, GMAT, GRE. They did all these cool things that they lucrative, and they got a lot of money, and they got the titles and all that stuff. I don't really care about that. For me, Birmingham's home, right? So I'll do what I've been doing. I've been intentional for the last 14 years about making home better, which is Birmingham. I won't stop.
Okay.
All right? Even as a lawyer, it's easy to go be in the private sector. But I've chosen and make money, right? And have a client that's in the private sector or a client that's just a person. But I've chosen to be a lawyer for the city of Birmingham by choice. All right? So public service doesn't have to be in a space of a mayor or a school board member. It can be in a space of being a lawyer for the city. It can be in a space of just all the different boards I sit on where I'm trying to provide help in the service that organization represents in providing the service for people.
Okay. So you won't stop. When you talk about extending an olive branch and continuing to work, and that was a question on one side of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, if somebody else does, and this is, I always ask this question because this really speaks to how much of a helper I am, how much I really mean what I say about the people.
Right.
Would I say, or would Randall Woodfin say, you know what, Mayor Bell, look, I think that we could be a force together. Could that ever be a thing?
That's a good question. So here's my expectation. Whether it's the church, whether it's the nonprofit, whether it's the for-profit, or an elected space, there is an expectation that those who are in leadership should pour into, should invest in, should reach back, should give, should support, and my favorite, pass the torch. We see it that because we don't see that happen in the church a lot, we see a lot of churches not be able to grow.
Okay.
Right? We see the opposite in nonprofits and for-profits. They have these transitional periods. They groom the next leader. What we see in elected space is a lot of what we see in the black church. If we want the city to grow, if we want the city to move at a space it needs to be in, we can't hold on to the leadership torch forever. Let me make this very, very clear to anybody that can hear this. William Bell is not a bad person. He's not a bad man. William Bell has been at City Hall since 1979. He's been an elected official since 1979. This is his 8th time running for mayor. Okay? 8th. Not 3rd, not 4th, not 5th. 8th time.
Okay.
Mayoral candidate 99, 03, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13.
So does that not say that his passion is as big as yours, that I got to do my work? Does that not say that?
What it says is, at this point, 7 years into the office, 2 terms, now seeking the 3rd term, William Bell is on cruise control. That doesn't necessarily have a sense of urgency to get us where we need to go as it relates to helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And that all these things that he said he would address, the issues have gotten worse, not better.
Okay.
Name an issue that's gotten better outside of downtown's growth. We can't say neighborhood revitalization. We can't say property value. We can't say homelessness. We can't say poverty. We can't say crime. We can't say any of these issues. We can't even say the support of small business owners. We can't.
But can you say that if you are that leader, that people will be able to say those things?
Absolutely. Let me give you a good example. City's budget is $428 million.
Mm-hmm.
That revenue is based on the following: 32% from sales tax, almost 1/3 of it.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in second at 18% is the business license. Stair step right below that at 17% is the occupational tax.
Mm-hmm.
That's 67%. 2/3 of the city's budget is based on the backs and strengths of small businesses. You personally know small business owners. People who are out here listening to us know small business owners. Ask them how their interaction is with City Hall. If they want to open their business, if they want to renew their business license, if they want to expand their business, the permitting process, or even physically having to go down to City Hall and interact with the city.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will tell you it's not cool. It should be more professional. It should be more efficient. We should be given the opportunity to do some of these, have options online, optimizing the process, one-stop shop. None of that exists. And that is the reason why we're not growing at the rate we need to be. Because everybody who wants to engage in business has to interact with City Hall. So anybody who knows me knows my commitment to supporting small business owners, because small business owners will be the reason we can pave streets.
Okay.
Right? Because that's where our tax revenue is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that's how our general fund is based on. We
So
have
basically
to
bringing those businesses or allowing those businesses to set up shop in the city so that those taxes will go back into the budget and then those dollars will go into the community.
But keep going. Current administration gives $750 million to REV. Right? That's one of the economic arms of the city.
And what is REV?
It is a economic arm in the city that deals with supporting downtown businesses and supporting commercial districts across the city. So it's supposed to support whether it's Woodlawn this way, whether it's supposed to support Inslee or West End or North Birmingham, the commercial corridors across the city. And people tend to think, hey, the city shouldn't be giving $750,000, $750,000 to support this organization. We haven't seen a ripple or benefit to these commercial corridors outside of downtown. And my immediate thought is, you know what, they're right. The city should. That's something I'll stop. And then I thought about it, right? And talking to people that understand how this process works and listening to people. Is more revenue coming in from the investment of the $750,000? And you know what? The answer is yes. So then it becomes, don't stop it. Just have that conversation and say, if we're pouring in $750,000 and you're getting this much money in return, then you should be in support of microloans and investing in these commercial corridors outside here to make sure we support not only the existing small businesses, but just like the growth we've seen in South Avondale, it's now time for the city of Birmingham to be the kickstarter for downtown Inslee, for North Birmingham, for West End, etc., for Pratt, downtown Pratt.
Okay. So that leads me to the first question.
All right.
Everything you just said is basically like, it gives the people the hope that they can ask the question and get an honest answer. So it says, I don't know if this has been covered, but what is the plan for the 99 neighborhoods? You just named them, or named a couple of them that you had some issues with. Yeah. What neighborhoods will receive priority?
So the city of Birmingham overall requires about a $50 million plan to pave our streets. Each district is not created equally. So our districts far west and far north a piece are about $9 million in street paving versus an area of like District 3 is only close to $4 million in street paving. What we have to do with that $428 million budget, separate from that $75 million bond dollars, is to say we find a way to pull $5 million from the general fund, another $5 a year from the capital fund, and over a 5-year period, $10 million a year towards street paving to get all our streets up to grade. That includes fixing those potholes.
Okay. Producer, you want to go to a comment, and then I'll do one on this side as well. And I just want to take this time again to thank you all for coming to social media to get this interview. There were some mix-ups as far as what the policies are, but that's what happens when you are building. So this just kind of says that it's time for some building.
We can do it again.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. And then you all
can.
can tune in next week for Mayor Bell. And then we're going to have another conversation with just people that have watched these conversations. And we're going to talk to them. Because at the end of every day, I hate when people say this on reality shows. At the end of the day, no. At the end of every day, though, it is about us. It's about us. So I want us to be well informed and get to know both people. And remember that they are people. And then I can say that to both campaigns. Remember that both campaigns are made of people. All of this is about how we're affected in the long run. What happens to our city? What happens to our children? What happens to the things that our parents and grandparents have worked for? All of that is way big. So I do want you to be well informed on the voting process. If you're not registered, you have about, 2 weeks? The 15th?
Yeah, short window.
So hurry up.
Very short window.
And get registered so that you can be a part of this process, so that you can help protect your city and make sure that you're making the best decision. Birmingham is a place that has to get it right because we have a legacy to preserve and we have a future to work forward to. You ready?
Yeah. So, what is gentrification to you?
The short version, gentrification is the displacement of people who have already lived in the space. Part of that is hijacking their rent. So for me, I'm in full disagreement with any form of displacing people who live in the space they've been living in. So for example, Southtown housing projects is near and dear to my heart. My father lived there. My grandmother, Rosalie, lived there until I was 10 years of age. I've had an aunt and some first cousins live there as late as 2 years ago, and I know the entire community. I mean, I told somebody earlier, I'll repeat this. Southtown is not just bricks, it's people. And it's not just people, it's families. And it's not just families, it's a community. Regardless of it being low income or federal housing, that's a community. And so this whole notion of something being some type of, I don't even know what to call it, I guess a group of people with access to capital and working with the housing authority have said they want to, I guess, flip Southtown, right?
Yeah.
My problem with that is the following. If it's not one for one, if it's violating the Fair Housing Authority, Fair Housing Act, and if it's not taking care of the people via communicating with them what's going to happen and they're in fear of where they live, or worse, not talking to the school system, which means children who are zoned there. They went to the same middle school I went to, Putnam. You take the families out of there, what happens to Putnam Middle School that has less than 300 students today?
Yeah.
Right? So you're having a conversation around housing and possibly displacing people, and you're not considering what that does to education. You're not considering what that does to transportation for people who have to get to work. And you're not having a conversation around just fairness and notice. So I have a full problem with that.
All right. We have...
Oh, and by the way,
Yes.
let me tell you why the mayor can't be silent on a situation like that. Because the mayor has 100% authority over an appointment power who sits on the Housing Authority board. So no, you're not in control because that board has an executive director. But I'd be damned if the mayor is going to be silent on the situation facing housing in the city. Make no mistake, housing is a real critical issue in the city, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's people's property value, or even if it's public housing, and we're talking about displacing people and those people don't even have notice.
Yeah, we're learning a lot, and this is what it's about. It's about us learning about people's opinions. This is Randall Woodfin's opinion, and what you would say are facts about these particular situations. But
Those are facts.
Those are facts. Those are numbers.
I'll tell you if it's opinion.
Okay, cool.
I promise.
So he's running for mayor of the city of Birmingham. I know that most of you all who are watching, you know that there are some things being asked now. And one of them says that you speak a lot about the millennials and young people, but how are you going to attract baby boomers and the elderly? They have not been included in your plan.
So Let me say this from a voting standpoint first. In black cities across Alabama last year, in Selma and Tuskegee and Fairfield and Bright, they had municipal elections, mayor, city council. In each one of those cities, the boomer generation voter overwhelmingly chose the non-incumbent Generation X or Generation Y candidate running for mayor over the boomer incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
Our boomers and our elders are listening to what's happening in this mayor's race. Make no mistake about that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people's doors I'm knocking on, listening to them. I knocked on a lady door by the name of Miss Watson, who lives in Central Pratt, probably back in June.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Watson is in her late 70s. Came and sat on her porch. Well, she was already sitting on her porch, so I didn't have to knock on the door. But I walked up to her, told her I was running, and I listened to her talk about her issues in her community. No more issues she talked about is access. That if she doesn't necessarily have a car or doesn't need to stand on a bus stop, how does she get access to healthy food? And if there's no grocery store on Highway 78 or downtown Pratt, why does she have to drive so far to get food or prescription drugs? Mm. So one of the biggest things I want to do for our senior community is real simple. You know, I haven't said this, but I'll go ahead and say it. I have not intentionally gone into the Publix downtown. You know why?
Why?
Because people said, hey, we want a grocery store downtown. The response was, we don't have enough critical mass of people to live downtown yet. When we reach critical mass of people downtown, we can get a grocery store. And then the mayor's office says, well, we'll give you these many incentives to have a grocery store downtown. So we're now paying Publix with tax dollars to be down here. And I'm like, so... But I just told you about Ms. Watson. She stays in Pratt, who stays west side of town. It's been critical mass in that side of town. Why isn't the city offering some same type of tax incentive to get a grocery store where she lives, if that's her number one complaint?
Okay.
Or North Birmingham, or east side of town. So when I consider the issues of the elderly community, I go right back to thinking about my great-grandmother who lived with me until she was 100. Whatever issue she faces, the same elderly community face the same thing. Man, I'm busting my butt to take care of our senior community. Without a doubt, zero hesitation, 100% commitment, because our elders are our most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And as it relates to housing opportunities, as it relates to feeling safe on their own porch, as it relates to access to healthy food, the city needs to bend over backwards to deliver those services to our senior community.
Okay. So the senior citizens are not left out?
No.
Okay.
No.
They are considered?
No. Overly considered.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go personal shortly. I see a lot of personal questions here, but we're going to talk about...
I got one about, can you address your time during your tenure as president of the school board, your successes and failures, and talk about how you handled the situation when you handled the situation where Ramsey students when they expressed their dissatisfaction with what was going on in their school.
Right. I think this is an important topic. I think I'll take the time, if you don't mind, to look directly into the camera so people can see how sincere I am. And I can speak with full, outright honesty about my tenure on the school board. I think it's important for people to remember where the school system was prior to me being on the school board and being president. I can say without a shadow of doubt, I stand or sit next to Wu looking at this camera, that in my time in that 2 years, I left the school system in better shape than what I inherited. That what I inherited was a school system that was placed on accreditation probation, not because of academic reasons, not because of financial reasons, but for board governance reasons, which is a fancy way of saying it was poor leadership at the school board level. The second thing that happened with the school system before I got on the school board and what I inherited was a state takeover, where the school board wasn't doing what was necessary to protect the system, its employees, or the school system's finances. And so inheriting both of those things, in the 2 years I was on the school board, there was nothing I could do by myself. There were 8 other people on the board, and the 9 of us as a unit worked together to move the school system off of accreditation probation. They allowed me to lead that process. Mm-hmm. Off of state takeover. which my colleagues allowed me to lead that process. That we inherited a school system with barely a reserve, and now we have almost up to now 3 months of reserves.
Okay.
That we hadn't had any additional local revenue in over 20 years. And I led an effort in 2015, February of 2015. The voters said yes, and now the school system has an additional $8.6 million in local revenue that allowed us to put a pre-K class put a pre-K class in every elementary school, bring our arts, fine arts, and band back to our middle schools, so we can get our high school bands back to where they need to be.
And because we missed the band.
I was
the music program.
I was a drummer. I played the drums in 4th and 9th grade. So,
Okay.
so here's what I'll say. Everything I name is an adult issue. The academic issues facing the school system require stability. And if we're going to talk about individual board voting, let's talk about it. Craig Witherspoon was the superintendent when I came on the board. He resigned. You know what resign means? A resignation? You don't get to walk away with some parachute or tax dollars.
So they said,
right? That's one.
They said that he did, but then the next one
was fired.
She's being paid.
She is being paid. I voted that she not be fired. I was one of 3 members that voted she not be fired.
That's the last time we talked on the show.
6 board members voted she should be fired. But now we fake mad, y'all. And this is me looking at the camera, because I don't remember anybody jumping up and down about us firing that lady without cause for no reason. And if we had cause, if she had done something she wasn't supposed to do, if she did do something illegal, if she did do something to breach her financial duty, why didn't they fire her with cause?
I think everybody still feels like that was super shady, and nobody really knows what happened.
Nothing happened. It was catty. It was petty. But let's be real. You can't have it both ways. We got to stop being fake mad about what's going on at the school system. We need to always care and engage, not just during an election year. No different. I stand on my record because I always voted for and sided on what's right for children. Always.
Okay. And
go back to bat for our employees. But the last part of the question, because I remember, Ramsey. I, as a school board president, along with 8 colleagues, don't control the school system. We don't make personnel decisions. We don't micromanage. The superintendent, as the CEO of the school system, makes recommendations to us. The superintendent at the time made a recommendation to transfer the principal at Ramsey. It was voted on a 9-0 vote. That wasn't some single-handed issue that one board member controlled, because it doesn't work like that.
Question.
Yeah.
How will someone come in? How many? We've had 4 in the past 2.5 years.
In the last 15 years, you've had in the last 15 years, you've had over 7.
So why does it still make sense, or how can it make sense that we bring people into a school system to be responsible for people that they don't know?
Yeah.
How can they make a recommendation when they don't know?
Right. So at the time, referring to that issue, this guy had been a superintendent, almost 4 years.
He still didn't know.
Right. That's one. I think 2 is the following. One of the biggest things we can have for a child in their home is stability between 2 parents. One of the biggest things a church can have is stability at the pastoral level. One of the biggest things a for-profit, a bank, or a non-profit can have is a leader that's in position. The school system gets it wrong because there's always this merry-go-round of superintendents, musical chairs. And every time that's happened, I've been on the end of not supporting us getting rid of somebody. My vote stands on that.
Your personal vote. Just you, not you as the spokesperson
it's wrong.
For the rest of them.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Okay.
It's outright wrong. Stability, right? The number one issue in Birmingham City Schools is stability. And here's how you get there. If you keep a merry-go-round of superintendents, how do you put good principals in place and hold them accountable? If you don't have principals in place, how do you hold teachers accountable? Right? It all works together. So I'm tired of us beating up on the school system. I'm tired of us beating up on teachers, because most people who are an employee for the Birmingham school system are voluntarily there. They are committed to Birmingham City Schools. My stepmom is 33 years retired from Birmingham City Schools. My mother is retired educator 11 years. Stop beating up on Birmingham City Schools. One of the other biggest issues outside of stability of Birmingham City Schools is what's happening from 3:01 p.m. to 7:59 a.m.
Yeah.
It's what's happening when school's not in. That is where the mayor's office can play a bigger role. Early childhood learning centers, real summer enrichment programs to support children who are not at grade level. If the school system can't afford or doesn't receive enough dollars from the state, investing in a real trade program, workforce certification program, to exercise for children who don't want to go to college or the military, who come straight out of high school and go to work. This is what America can be doing to support education.
So, because you were in a position of leadership prior to now, where you were there with education,
Right.
Why were these things not partnered with what was, with the mayor that was already in place? Why were they not already introduced?
Man, listen, that's a good question. You have to ask William Bell that. Here's what I will say. I don't think he's made education a priority. I will say the following too. Other cities put more money out of their city tax dollars regardless of what they receive from the state in support of education. You cannot have a $428 million budget, give the school system less than $2 million, which is less than 1% of that budget, and say you care about education.
So more money should be given to education.
It's not just more money, it's the whole bullion pulpit. It's having a whole vision for investing in our children birth to 18. That is bigger than K through 12. Right? K through 12 is a snippet of what we have to do. It's a major, not a snippet. It's
For
a
some
major
people, it's
function.
everything. Yeah.
It is, but there's more than that.
Yeah, it definitely is.
You and I live in a house. Well, no, you and I want to build a house. And I say, well, listen, we got all this money to build the right side of the house. Right? It's going to be a strong structure. That's K through 5th. We got all this money to build the left side of the house. Millions we're going to put into it, which is 6 to 8. We got all this money to put in the roof and the ceiling, which is high school 9 through 12. What part am I leaving out? And what's going to make that house not stand where it needs to be?
So you didn't mention the foundation.
The foundation. You know what the foundation is? Birth to 5 years of age.
Okay.
Those first 5 years are critical before a child ever enters our school system.
You're absolutely correct.
And what we currently have in the city of Birmingham is a space in the gap so wide. We have children entering our school system who don't understand the concept of words and don't understand the concept of numbers. If I know those issues exist as a mayor or as a community partner, my job is, regardless of what's happening at home, is to offset those issues, to give our children a fair shot at a minimum of being on grade level when they enter our school system.
So basically what you're saying is, as mayor, you feel you would have a better opportunity to do that than what you did as school board president.
Right. My role is narrowed towards passing policy and enforcing policy from the state on behalf of our school system.
Okay.
All right? There's a narrow role to play in the board, but that role can expand in the executive level, not only with money, but actually having a plan when children are not in school.
Okay. I said, well, I've asked you some questions, and then people have mostly made comments. So we're looking for the questions. If you all are still tuned in, go ahead and start liking. And then once you like, I want you to put your comments or your questions, more of your questions as opposed to your comments. Questions.
I got a question about transportation. We talked about low-income neighborhoods. People need to be able to get around and not having access. Transportation is a big part of that. And for years, if you want to get to one side of Birmingham to the other, it's going to take you probably about 2 hours.
Keep going.
That's about it. So, what is...
So, man, listen. My friend, I have a cousin by the name of Brenda. She works at Arby's, let's say on the east side of town. She just moved closer to her job. Before a while, she lived in Collegeville. It took her 2 buses in an hour and 45 minutes to get to work, which is less than 6 miles from her house. Come on, y'all. We're talking about a city that's been bragging about a new intermodal facility, and the 3 of us in this room right now see buses that are broke down on the side of the street every day. Who cares about a new intermodal facility if we're not investing in our buses, where people have to get from point A to B? And why in the city, the largest city in the state of Alabama, does it take you 2 buses in the same city limits well over an hour to get to your job, man? That's a quality of life issue. Like, I'm just saying, y'all, that's morally wrong. It's not right. So what can the mayor do? If we know we can't get funding from the state, We better figure out a way to leverage more money from federal dollars and grants. But we also better get more efficient in our operations, right? So we got this new bike system across the city. I can't even think what the name of it is. What is it? Those green bikes. Zip bike. So Zip bike got this technology that allows them to be able to peg, you know, the routes most used, right? It allows them to see which stations are most used. We should be able to have the technology that says, listen, on this route at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. only 12 people are getting on this big bus. If we know only 12 people 5 days a week can get on that big bus, maybe this shouldn't be the bus, right? Maybe it should be a 10-passenger van. And all of a sudden we've saved gas prices. We've saved gas money and can use that money for a different route that needs more buses, right? Just being smarter with our operations, more efficient with our operations. So it may not always be we don't have enough money issue as it relates to public transportation. It may be operating in a more efficient way. Come on.
Just to make it smoother, make it smoother ride.
Smoothly. Come on, y'all. Y'all know it shouldn't take no hour and 45 minutes to get from point A to B, less than 7 miles in the same city.
Gotcha.
I would think so with the World Games coming up in
2021. 2021, that requires investing in your infrastructure. That really does require investing in infrastructure.
We got a lot of comments, so let me find questions.
Charter schools has come up.
I see that, and I was just about to get to that. You had a split decision or a sideways view of charter schools. What is your stance for real, for real?
No, I don't. There's an organization called SOS, Save Our Students, who has created some false things about my views on charter schools. Let me look this camera in the face and be very plain, very honest, very raw. I 100% do not support charter schools. Charter schools create a separate and unequal situation in our city. So, for example, I currently represent Barrett Elementary School and Oliver Elementary School. Proximity of each other. You can jump on Crestwood Boulevard, hit a Port of Madrid, and you're right there between these two schools, all right? If a certain organization wants to open a charter school in the middle of those two schools, let me tell you what happens. First of all, the school will be in the city limits and not be a Birmingham City school. Second of all, they would pull students from the two schools I represent. And then pulling students from the two schools I represent, because those two schools would lose students and population, they would now lose classroom units. And because they lose classroom units, we would have to cut what those students are receiving. There's no way I could support that.
So you are against charter schools in Birmingham?
100%. I'm against charter schools, period, because they take resources away from our school system.
Okay.
Now, there's these conversations around conversion. There's these conversations around, what do you call it, startups. I was asked a question, explain the difference, and I've explained the difference between the two. But bottom line, it doesn't matter. They're both wrong.
So even conversion charter schools, because that's what folks are asking.
Yeah, I know. There's a conversation at the school board meeting with my colleague April Williams asked a question about conversion. So the school system was boxed in by the state. The state says, listen, if the local school system does not become an authorizer, then anybody who wants to open up a charter school within the city limits of Birmingham can bypass the school board and go straight to Montgomery through a process. Well, the school system, in my mind, needs to be the front line of denying or granting a charter. It doesn't mean you support charters. It just means people shouldn't be able to go straight to Montgomery. If Montgomery has allowed us to create a local school board, then the local school board should have control of what's educating our children within our city limits. But that's not what the law says. The law says, here's your option, local school system. Be an authorizer or be bypassed. It doesn't matter to us. Either way it goes, we don't care what you think. That doesn't mean we support charters. It means we're trying to be the front line of defending our school system and the city limits of educating our children, because it does come down to resources. And Montgomery has made it clear, whether it's conversion or startup, they don't give a damn about the local school board.
We're listening. We're learning. All right.
Hey, it's the truth.
Listen to this. People keep talking about something new, but but you won't allow the ones that are active to finish what they started. Why is that?
So in 2010, I'm going to use the example of the current mayor saying he wanted to fight and address poverty. In 2013, the mayor ran again saying, I want to fight and address poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 2017, in that 7-year period, we've seen poverty increase. We're over 30% now. And as I said earlier, the mayor has not presented to this city, to anybody, a plan around addressing poverty. I'll wait if they have it. I'd love to see it. It doesn't exist. So what are we waiting on? What have they started? Again, it's not knocking or saying they're bad people. It's just, I shouldn't be allowed to hold on to something that I know is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is not some, I guess what I call, it's not some crowning affair that I'm just the mayor and I can hold on to as long as I want. No, you gotta be doing something for people. Come on, listen, don't take my word for it. You do a private survey right now, ask the city employees in any department, do they want to stick with the current mayor or they want a different direction? Civil service employees, not the people that serve at the pleasure of the mayor. You ask the majority of the residents in this city, listen to them about their complaints and issues, and ask them, has the current administration been aggressive about resolving the issues? Now, granted, the current administration will tell you, hey, we don't have enough money, but you can't have it both ways. You cannot say, I inherited a deficit, and now 7 years later bragging that the city's revenue has increased $67 million, yet where people live it looks the same or worse.
So when you talk about the revenue of the city, you talk about the education of the people in the city.
Right.
You talk about the roads, the potholes, the green spaces, the small businesses, the religious sector. You talk about
crime.
We talked about crime. We've touched on a lot of different things. A body of work spans years, and it kind of can be present for people to see what they need to see without having to just touch on these things. If you could tell people one thing about you as far as an accomplishment that you have that speaks volumes to your work, what would that thing be?
All the parents I spoke to told me they wanted their child to have the same opportunity they had when they were in middle school and elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we couldn't accomplish that without additional resources. We took a chance on presenting to voters where they increased their ad valorem local revenue to support more educational opportunities outside of the core curriculum for their children.
Mm-hmm.
And it hadn't been done in 20 plus years because the survey we did is that parents and voters did not trust the school board. They actually took a chance on us, trusted us, it passed. We got those additional things for their children.
Why are people still dissatisfied with the Birmingham school system?
Because the Birmingham city school system got itself in such a mess over the last 30 years, you can't get out of it in 4.
So that's the school system, the crime. A lot of people don't really know how to talk to you about crime because of your personal connections to your family. They don't know if they should ask you, what do you feel? What do you think? What will you do? I'm asking you that.
What do I feel? I feel anger, man. I feel frustration. I feel a massive amount of sadness. I feel really awful for my mother. I feel it's bad. Let me say that. At the same time, my family's not special. There were 100 plus families that faced the same thing last year. There have been over, close to 70 now, this year. I spoke at a young man's funeral back in May. He was killed in Collegeville, shot in broad daylight, died in the street. My own brother was shot dead in the street. Everybody knows what happened to my nephew.
How does that make you feel that this is your life and it's it's a part of what is happening all over the world.
I got to do something about it. That it's easy to wallow in sadness. It's easy to retreat, man. It's easy to go curl up. It's easy to be really, really mad, man. Like real mad. But can I take this pain? Can I take this, what I'm feeling right here? Can I absorb what I absorbed in the funeral I spoke at May on behalf of that family who was facing the same thing? Can I take the frustration and the sadness and anger of all these mothers and say, what can I do as mayor to make sure your other son, your other nephew, your uncle, your brother does not have to experience it again, does not have to experience the same thing? That's a calling. I didn't ask for that. I don't want it.
I know.
But somebody has to face it. Murder in this city is killing this city. This is not an issue to be taken lightly. This is not an issue that you can just have a press conference about it. It's not an issue you can solve overnight. I'm pragmatic. But it's gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better, which means whatever we're doing to address it is not working. I can say that at the exact same time. And this is not even a matter of policing. This is a community crisis. This is a flat-out community crisis. Same community crisis in Chicago and same community crisis in Baltimore and New Orleans. This is a community crisis. What are we as adult men prepared to do to wrap our arms around our young boys? There's some real cruel people out there who have said, hey, you can't do this because you can do this for your own nephew. I haven't addressed, I haven't really talked about my nephew because I'm still processing, still grieving. But hell, my mother still grieves my own brother. It's 5 years ago. But then I think back to my favorite aunt who was a drug addict, right? She was an adult. I couldn't stop her from making the decisions she made. Unfortunately, some of the choices my own family members have made, all of our family members have made, we can't always stop them. But that doesn't mean you stop trying to help. It doesn't mean you give up on them. It doesn't mean you stop loving them. It doesn't mean you still fight for what you believe is right, which is you save as many people as possible, because we're losing too many people.
Thank you. Thank you for going there, because I know that that's a difficult situation. Like I said, all of us, a lot of us, not all of us, can't speak for everybody, but a lot of us know that pain personally, like on so many levels, and we hear about it so often. So thank you for sharing that and feeling that you could with me. And then you got people watching, so it's not just us, but I do thank you for going there. When you think about Birmingham forward, and like once the pain starts to heal and people start to thinking optimistically again and feeling hopeful, even after losses, we feel hopeful. Even after natural disasters, we feel hopeful. So we always end up feeling hopeful again. Right. Even in the midst of division, we still feel hopeful. What is the final thing that you would like to say to people about who you are and what you can do to make them feel hopeful?
Yeah, so I would say having 3,000 plus donations has given people hope. They believe in something. They're invested. They're buying in. They're giving us $10. They're giving us $15.
What is that going toward?
Staff. It goes towards advertising. It goes towards finding a way to communicate with voters over the last year. It's campaigning.
Okay.
I knocked on the lady door. Didn't know her. She we're talking. In the middle of talking, she stops. She says, "Baby, I'll be back." She's gone for a while, but she comes back with a $5 check. Now, come on now. $5 check. You know what that means. Not only is she believing in me, but she's going to find a way, if she has children or grandchildren, whoever she goes to church with, she's going to tell everybody that story. Baby, I gave him a $5 check. That's hope. Hope is meeting a guy at Ansley, whole front grill missing, no teeth. The last time he actually went to the poll was 2008, and he didn't even vote at the time. He just wanted to participate in the process and enroll his family. I'm voting for you. That's hope. Met a lady, 92, stays by herself. Moved to Alabama from Germany. She met her husband in the war. Excited to vote. That's hope.
Mm-hmm.
Young people, Generation X, Generation Y, who have been of age to vote for 5-6 years, all of a sudden wanting to be a part of the process, are participating in the process. But the elder lady I meet at the car wash is excited about this race. Our campaign is hope. That people believe things can be better at City Hall. The services we provide, how we provide those services. But how about this? Not about experience versus inexperience, but really about character and vision for the direction of the city of Birmingham. Oh man, that's hope.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to leave with everybody listening to me, and Vital, thanks for letting me come on.
Indeed.
We got to get beyond pocket growth in the city of Birmingham. The current administration has not been a hindrance to growth, but they haven't necessarily been a help either. The current administration hasn't been complicit necessarily in crime increase, but they haven't told us how they're going to address crime either. And those are just examples. What our candidacy and our campaign represents is not only hope, but the Woodfin plan is tangible enough to where we're moving the needle on improving the quality of life of the people that live in the city of Birmingham. And we want everybody to join and be a part of that. I don't care if you are generation Boomer, X, or Y. We have something to offer that helps the people in this city.
Okay. Sounds vital for me. So if it's vital, we're there, and we try our best to accommodate. Tonight was a major accommodation. You all would not believe how much of an accommodation this was. So I appreciate you, but just for just saying, look, wherever you are, we'll be there. So I appreciate that. That means a lot to everybody that's involved in this situation. Like y'all would not believe how thank you. Thank you. So your contact information?
Oh, yeah. So anybody can call, text. My contact information is 205-706-0038. Again, that's 205-706-0038. If you had a question, concern, comment, issue, or problem that did not get addressed and or answered, please shoot me a text or call. Second way you can reach me is our website. That's my name, randallwoodfin.com. That's RANDALLWOODFIN, randallwoodfin.com. A lot of information on the site about who I am, how I grew up, my vision for the city, and the Woodfin plan about how we improve the quality of life for the people that live here. A third way is via email. It's simple. It's just woodfin@randallwoodfin.com. And is there anything else? Oh, follow us on social media. Let's see. Look at me.
Woodfin, hold on.
Yeah, help me out, brother.
Woodfin for mayor?
Yeah, Woodfin for mayor. Listen.
Yeah.
Look, I got so many. Got to make sure I get
It's
this
Birmingham,
right.
And it's everywhere.
Yeah,
like
it's everywhere.
Everybody is everywhere with this election. And I got I'm looking at messages now too. One person just said I asked the question, it was answered, but not really. Can you see me? Just me.
Mm-hmm.
Move, Randall.
Yes, ma'am.
Just me. If we were on the radio, we would only have 50 minutes, not even a full hour, right? Because we have stop sets, we have intros, we have songs to play sometimes. So that means that we can't really get everything in one setting. We got an extra 44 minutes. 44 minutes to sit here and have this conversation. Then on next Sunday, it's going to be the same way. Why? Because of something that happened before. Okay, nothing to do with this election, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with these candidates. Something that happened before. So on next Sunday, I need you back again. Whenever we have conversations like this, you always need to be vital and be tuned in. Okay, so no, we could not answer everything. We could not address everything, and then some of the things I could not even read because they were so long, and the producer was trying to produce the show.
Email is woodfin@randallwoodfin.com. Website is randallwoodfin.com.
Thank you. So, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Yeah.
If you had any other questions, he did tell you how to contact him to find those answers out. Stay tuned, stay vital. You have a holiday tomorrow. Enjoy yourself, get rested, research, get to know people, get to know more about them, get to know more about what's already happening, get to know more about what the plans are, what the future looks like. Get to know that. Know who the mayors were before and what they already had rolling and what these people have to finish. That's all I got. Y'all have a good night.